Story 1 of 3. One Nation wins historic FAR by-election, ending coalition's 77-year hold. One Nation wins historic FAR by-election, ending coalition's 77-year hold. Here's what every outlet agrees on. One Nation candidate David Farley won the FAR by-election with 41.8% of the primary vote, leading 59.4% to 40.6% on a two-candidate preferred basis. The coalition, Liberal and Nationals combined, received a combined primary vote of just over 20%, Liberals 12 to 13%, Nationals 9 to 10%, in the FAR by-election. The FAR by-election was held on May 9, 2026, following the resignation of Susan Ley, who held the seat for 25 years. Michelle Milthorpe, the independent candidate, received 25.8% of the primary vote and conceded defeat after Farley's victory. Pauline Hanson declared One Nation is here for the long haul after the victory, calling it a win for Australia. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian and SMH report Farley received 41.8% of the primary vote, but ABC initially reported Farley had more than 40% of the primary vote at 8 p.m, with a margin of about 9% after preferences. The Guardian and ABC report Farley's victory was due to voters' anger with the major parties, but The Age and SMH emphasized the coalition's internal chaos and preference strategy as key factors. The Guardian and SMH describe Farley's victory as a political earthquake, while ABC and Newscomau focus more on the symbolic significance of One Nation's first lower house win. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, news.com.au, Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Story 2 of 3. Aryna Sabalenka's injury and loss at Italian Open ahead of French Open. Aryna Sabalenka's injury and loss at Italian Open ahead of French Open. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Aryna Sabalenka lost in the third round of the Italian Open, the 10th of May, 2026, to Aryna Sabalenka with a score of 2-6, 6-3, 7-5. Sabalenka suffered a lower back and hip injury during the match, requiring a medical timeout. Sabalenka cited her lower back and hip as limiting her full rotation and performance, saying "I feel like my body was limiting me from performing at the highest level." Sabalenka has 2 weeks to recover before the French Open starts on May 24, 2026, at Roland Garros. Sabalenka lost her second match in 3 at claycourt tournaments this year, following a quarterfinal loss to Hailey Baptiste at the Madrid Open, the 27th of April, 2026. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian states Sabalenka lost her second successive surprise loss, while ABC does not explicitly describe it as surprise but notes it as a setback in her claycourt swing. The Guardian mentions Sabalenka had beaten Taranti 2 weeks ago at the Madrid Open, but this detail is not included in ABC's article. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Story 3 of 3. Rising bowel cancer cases in young Australians and precision medicine breakthroughs. Rising bowel cancer cases in young Australians and precision medicine breakthroughs. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Nathan Borge, a 29-year-old project manager, was diagnosed with bowel cancer in 2026, 3 months before his wedding, after a colonoscopy revealed a tumour. Bowel cancer incidence in Australians aged 30s has risen 137% since 2000, from 184 cases in 2000 to an estimated 772 in 2025. About 1 in 6 bowel cancer patients have tumors with a genomic quirk, microsatellite instability, or MSI, making them highly sensitive to immunotherapies. Up to 15% of colorectal cancers exhibit MSI, which occurs when DNA mismatch repair proteins fail to fix errors in short DNA sequences. Borge's cancer was MSI high, detected through genomic testing after standard MSI testing failed to identify it due to his specific gene mutation. But not all outlets told the same story. The Age states Lynch syndrome accounts for up to 15% of MSI high colorectal cancers, while SMH states it accounts for about 3%. The Age mentions that Borge lost his hair twice during chemotherapy, while SMH does not include this detail. This story was covered by Sydney Morning Herald and The Age.